McGuire, and today we're going to play a little bit of sports profile. Guess who? I'm going to give you guys some facts, and you guys are going to try and guess who my sports profile is on. Okay. All right, here we go. This athlete played 20 seasons in the NFL for teams like the Falcons, the Packers, the Jets, and the Vikings. He threw for 71,838 yards and 508 touchdowns. He played in 11 Pro Bowls, 3 MVPs, and he won 1 league championship. He has a net worth of $100 million with brand deals and partners like Wrangler Jeans. I'll let that sit for a second. I think you guys have this athlete in mind. You guys ready? All right, let's see who it is. Yes, Brett Farve. You guessed correctly. If the Green Bay Packers didn't give it away, the Wrangler Jeans did. The University of Southern Mississippi alumni has put his school on the map, but recent scandals have pulled back the curtain from this decorated quarterback and is showing his dark side. So let's talk about the current scandal that Brett Farve is involved in. It deals with the Mississippi Welfare Fund, titled TAMP, Temporary Assistance to Needy Families. This program replaced older welfare policies, and it created block grants for states to use towards programs that fit into 4 codes. It gives a lot of liberty to the states to decide what to move the money towards. As long as it falls under those 4 codes, the states can use it. An article is quoted, the combined effect of relaxing rules on where the money went, adding work requirements, and allowing states to define who qualifies as needy has had an effect that has only accelerated since 1996. Fewer poor families receiving benefits. This hammers back home for this scandal. Fewer families receiving benefits. Below is a list of people, government officials, and athletes that were involved in the Mississippi welfare scandal. I'll go through all of them and we'll kind of discuss how they played a role in this scandal. First up, we have John Davis. John Davis was the director of Mississippi Department of Human Services. He funneled over $10 million and granted TAMP funds to a nonprofit titled Mississippi Community Education Center. He has pled guilty to his charges. Next on the list, we have Nancy New, who was the head of the Mississippi Community Education Center, the nonprofit that John Davis funneled money through. She has also pled guilty to her charges. Next up, former Governor Phil Bryant. Phil Bryant is involved in this scandal because he was obviously the governor at the time. He knew what was happening, and he was found to be texting Brett Favre reassurances about the whole scheme. Last on the list is our athlete, Brett Favre. Let's go a little more depth about Brett Favre in this scandal. Brett Favre, he's a Mississippi native, a hometown hero for a lot of people in the state of Mississippi. But that is now beginning to be tarnished because he has received TAMP funds on several occasions. 2 major funds that he takes his money and puts into. The first on the list is a biotechnology and pharmaceutical startup company named Odyssey Health. Brett Favre took $2.1 million from News nonprofit and moved it towards the biotech startup to help develop a drug to treat concussions. It has recently come out in the news that USA Olympian and soccer player Abby Wambach, who sat on the board of said company, Odyssey Health, has announced her exit because of the scandal and because of the ties to Brett Favre and this entire situation. Next, the volleyball and football facilities at his alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi. Brett Favre's daughter was recruited and played volleyball at Southern Mississippi. Nancy New's nonprofit directed over $5 million to the university for construction of a new facility. And again, Nancy New's nonprofit directed $1.1 million towards Brett Favre for promotional appearances that never happened. So in total, Brett Favre has taken around $8 million of TAMP funds from the state of Mississippi for himself, for his companies, for his daughter's future in facilities at the University of Southern Mississippi. The text messages that surfaced from Brett Favre to the governor, very damning. He writes, "If you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much?" that rolls right into our ethical issues with this entire situation. As to, we've gone over this entire semester, talked about normative ethical values. On the slide, I have honesty, harm, benevolence, and lawfulness. Honesty is pretty self-explanatory in this. They were deceitful. All those involved took money that was not intended for them and used it in ways that they wanted to use it and not for its intended purpose. Harm, same thing. The funds were used for personal gain. It was not used for the people that needed it the most. And those people that needed it the most were harmed because of it. Benevolence, as defined in our textbook, is helping those in need. That's what the TAMP was put in place for. That's what these welfare funds were put in place for. They were not used for that. So this entire thing is the opposite of benevolence. Farve's actions were the opposite. Lawfulness. All those involved broke the law. You're seeing it now. John Davis pled guilty. Nancy Neal pled guilty. Brett Farve, no charges brought against him yet, but time will tell. I have 3 questions before you as well. 1, as a sports management professional, if you were at the University of Southern Mississippi, how would you handle the dilemma and the fallout from this scheme? How should Brett Farve be removed from the Hall of Fame due to his actions? What should the payback look like for Farve and other officials involved? Stakeholders. Pretty self-explanatory again, but we'll go over it. Top left corner, we have John Davis. Took all this money, funneled it through another stakeholder, Nancy Neal. Both of them have pled guilty, taken money, used it for their own personal gain, for their family, their friends, travel, what have you. Nancy Neal, right into our next stakeholder, funneled money through the University of Southern Mississippi for the creation of a facility for our other stakeholder, Brett Farve, Brett Favre's daughter, Brett Favre's family. The fallout from this, it's going to affect all the people involved that, Brett Favre has dealt with in the past. Because of this, Brett Favre has lost a serious radio show that he had. Without Abby Wambach stepping back from his health company that is trying to do good, but because they took this dirty money and this money that was not intended for them, it's going to make Odyssey Health look bad. Next to that picture of Brett Favre is a picture of the former governor on the far right and Brett Favre in one photo. The former governor, everything that he did while in office is going to be questioned. Every policy he put in place, every program that he ran, everything's going to be brought back into question because of his involvement in the scandal. And then the final stakeholder, the state of Mississippi. A lot of people that needed those funds did not receive them. And because of that, they have a vested interest in how this came about and, how they're going to rectify the entire situation. And in conclusion, Brett Favre's status as a hometown hero is quickly changing in Mississippi. There has not been formal charges against the football player, but in the court of public opinion, the state is calling for his head. There are talks of removing him from the Hall of Fame. His lawyers are claiming that he had no idea where the money he received originated from, but that idea is hard to accept with the text messages that were released. Brett Favre has allowed his fame and fortune to go to his head. He believes himself above the law. He has stepped on the board to elevate his pet project companies and misuse funds for his daughter's volleyball experience.